I never thought I'd be that guy who finds out his wife is cheating on him, but here I am. Her name's Jessica, and we've been married for about 5 years. At first, everything seemed fine. We had our routine. She'd play her little games of being the perfect wife, and I'd come home from work, tired but happy enough. I'd never suspected a thing until a few months ago when everything started to shift. It started with little things. Jessica became more distant, shorter with her responses, spending more time away from home. She'd say she was busy at work or meeting friends, but her phone would often be face down, and she'd suddenly get very defensive if I tried to look at it. I brushed it off for a while, thinking maybe she was just stressed or had some new work project. But then I noticed her phone's background changed to some guy's face. And she started disappearing late at night, claiming she was out with her friends, but I'd see her message history and find things that didn't add up. One night, I decided to check her phone when she was in the shower. I was snooping out of some deep suspicion. I just had this gut feeling that there was more to her stories than she was letting on. When I looked, I saw messages, flirty, suggestive, and clearly not with a friend. It was with someone named Tyler. They'd been talking about meeting up, and the way she described him made me sick. She called him hot and totally her type. The worst part, she'd been hiding all of this from me. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My stomach dropped and I just sat there holding her phone, staring at the screen. I could hear her footsteps from the bathroom and I instantly felt like I was caught in some nightmare. She came out, looked at me, and saw the phone in my hand. Her face went pale for a second, then she scoffed and tried to brush it off, saying it was just harmless flirting, that she wasn't serious about him. But I knew better. I could see the lies in her eyes, the way she hesitated. It wasn't just flirting, she was cheating on me and I knew it. The betrayal hit hard. I've always been someone who believed in honesty in working through problems. But this was different. It wasn't just a mistake, it was a betrayal of everything we had. And the worst part, she didn't seem to care how much she hurt me. Her excuses were typical: it was just sex, it doesn't mean anything, or I was drunk, or you're overreacting. But I knew I wasn't overreacting. This was my wife, my partner, the person I trusted with everything. And she had been lying to my face for months. It took days for the shock to wear off. I would wake up in the middle of the night feeling like I'd been punched again. I kept replaying the moment I found out, feeling rage, sadness, and this deep sense of betrayal. I kept asking myself how I missed the signs. Was I just blind? Did I want to be blind? The feelings were overwhelming. I felt stupid for trusting her, for thinking we had something real. The betrayal wasn't just about the affair. It was about the fact that she'd lied so easily, so convincingly. I realized that what I thought was a marriage built on honesty was just a house of cards waiting to fall. And I wasn't sure what to do next. I knew I needed to confront her again, figure out whether there was any hope left for us, or if I should just cut my losses and walk away. But what bothered me the most was that I still loved her, even after everything I'd seen. It hurt so much to realize that the woman I married had been hiding something so huge, something that could ruin us completely. I kept asking myself if I should forgive her, if there was any way to save what we had. But deep down, I knew that trust, once broken like this, is damn near impossible to rebuild. There's more to come, but right now, I'm just sitting here trying to process everything. The betrayal, the shock, the anger. I don't even know if I want to confront her again tonight. I just want to understand how she could do this, how she could lie so effortlessly after I'd given her everything. It's a heavy feeling, knowing that the person you trusted most in the world turned out to be someone else entirely. After that first night of discovery, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling around the same thoughts, her lies, the messages, the way she dismissed it all with that irritating smirk. I kept asking myself, how did I miss all the signs? I'd always thought of Jessica as a bit bitchy, a little manipulative sometimes, but I'd never suspected she was capable of this level of deceit. The betrayal cut deep, and I felt angry at her for making me feel so stupid. The next morning, I decided I couldn't just sit around and stew. I had to confront her. I told myself I needed answers, even if I knew those answers might hurt worse than I could imagine. I found her in the kitchen, sipping her coffee like nothing had happened. She looked at me with that usual sneer and said, "Morning, babe, you look like you've seen a ghost." I clenched my fists, feeling the anger bubble up. "I saw the messages, Jessica," I said, my voice trembling with suppressed rage. "You've been cheating on me. Tyler, really. You've been hiding this for months, haven't you?" She rolled her eyes, scoffing at me. "Oh, please, it's not like it's serious, just sex. That's all, you're overreacting." Her words made my blood boil. How could she be so callous? How could she pretend it was nothing? I looked at her, trying to find any sign of remorse, but all I saw was that bitchy smirk she always wore when she thought she was winning. "I'm done with your excuses," I said, my voice firmer now. "I can't believe you lied to my face, cheated behind my back, and then had the nerve to tell me I'm overreacting. Do you even care how much you hurt me?" She shrugged, pouring herself another cup of coffee. "Honestly, not really. I mean, you're not perfect either, so don't act like you're some saint. Maybe I needed some excitement. Maybe you're boring as hell and I just needed to feel alive for a minute." Her words cut like a knife. It was the first time she openly admitted that she'd been unfaithful, not just with Tyler, but emotionally cheating on me with her attitude. That moment changed everything. I felt a mix of sadness and fury. All the love I had for her was fighting with this deep, raw anger. I wanted to lash out, to scream at her, but I held it in. I knew I had to think clearly. I told her I needed space, that I couldn't be around her right now. I needed to process what I just found out, and I told her I was going to think about whether this marriage was even salvageable. She just shrugged again, like she didn't care. That's when I realized she didn't love me anymore. She didn't care about our marriage. She just wanted her stupid thrill. Over the next few days, I was a mess. I would go to work, come home, and just sit in the dark, replaying the betrayal. I kept asking myself how I let it get this far, how I missed the signs. I kept questioning whether I was enough for her or if I was just a placeholder. The worst part was feeling so betrayed by someone I had trusted completely. She was supposed to be my partner, my confidant, the woman I'd build my life with. But she was just playing me all along. I also started digging into her phone more, trying to find out how deep this thing with Tyler went. I found more messages, photos, plans to meet up again, explicit talk. I couldn't believe she was so brazen about it. It was like she didn't care that I was catching her, that I was hurting. Every message made me feel sicker inside. It was like she'd been living this double life, and I was just some fool who didn't see it coming. I remember sitting there, staring at all the evidence, feeling this overwhelming mix of heartbreak and rage. I wanted to confront her again, but I was still too stunned to do it. What was I supposed to say? How do you even begin to process someone you loved so much turning out to be so unfaithful? I kept thinking about the good times, all those nights we spent laughing, planning our future. And yet, all the while she was sneaking around, playing her own game. It felt like my entire world was crumbling, and I was left clutching the ruins. That's where I am right now, trying to figure out what to do next. Do I forgive her? Do I try to salvage this mess? Or do I cut my losses, walk out, and forget I ever loved her? I don't have an answer yet. All I know is that the betrayal has shattered something inside me. I feel like I've been betrayed not just by her actions, but by the very idea of what I thought we had. It's a brutal wake-up call, and honestly, I don't know how I move forward from here. So, after a few days of just replaying everything in my head, I finally decided I needed to confront her again. This time with a plan. I wasn't going to let her dismiss this, pretend it was nothing, or manipulate me into feeling guilty for catching her. I needed the truth straight from her mouth, no bullshit, no spin. That night I sat her down in the living room. She was lounging on the sofa, that cocky smirk still playing on her face like she thought she had the upper hand. I looked at her and said, "Jessica, I want to hear it straight. Are you really just messing around with Tyler, or is this more than just sex?" Her eyes flicked up and she rolled her eyes, crossing her arms. "Oh, come on, you're asking me that now. You really want to go there?" She shot back, that bitchy tone already creeping in. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice steady. "Yes, I want to go there. I deserve to know the truth, because I found enough messages to know this isn't just some casual thing." I looked her dead in the eyes. "Are you actually in love with him, or was this just a fling for you?" She scoffed again, then leaned back, acting like I was wasting her time. Look, I don't owe you any explanations. Tyler's just fun. It's not like I'm leaving you or anything. It's just sex. It doesn't mean anything. Her words felt like a slap in the face. I could see that she was lying, that she wanted to keep this secret buried, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I pressed her further. You think I'm stupid. You think I don't see what you're doing. This isn't just sex. It's emotional, and you know it. You've been lying to me, hiding this from me for months. How could you do that? How could you sit here and act like it's nothing? Her face twitched for a second, maybe a glimpse of guilt or frustration, but then she just shrugged and looked away. You're overreacting, she said, her voice dripping with contempt. It's not a big deal. I'm not leaving, I'm not cheating emotionally, and I sure as hell don't love Tyler. It's just sex, that's all. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Her words made my stomach turn. I knew she was lying, that she was trying to gaslight me into thinking I was crazy for feeling hurt. But I was. I could see right through her bullshit. I felt something break inside me that night, this raw, intense mixture of rage, sadness, and disappointment. I couldn't believe I'd been played for a fool. How could she be so callous? How could she lie to my face like that? I told her I needed to think, that I couldn't stay in the same room with her right now. I told her I was done for the night, and I left the house, walking around aimlessly just to get some space. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about all the moments I thought were real. Our little routines, her smile, the way she used to say she loved me. And now all I see is her lying to my face, sneaking around, playing her little game. She's so damn good at hiding it that I almost admired her for a second, but then I just felt sick. How the hell did I miss all this? The next morning, I woke up feeling exhausted and empty. I knew this wasn't going to get better overnight. I started to realize that if I was going to move forward, I had to dig even deeper into what was really going on. I pulled out her phone again, going through her messages more carefully, searching for any clues I might have missed. And what I found made my stomach churn even more. There were more exchanges, photos, plans, even some suggestive videos. She'd been on this train for a while, and I just hadn't seen it clearly. That's when it hit me. This was more than just some stupid fling. Jessica had been living this double life, and I'd been totally blind to it. I felt betrayed, not just as her husband, but as a person who thought he knew his partner. I'd given her my trust, my love, and my life. And she threw it all away for some meaningless sex and a bit of excitement. I sat on the edge of our bed, holding her phone in my hand, feeling this cold emptiness settle in. I wasn't sure whether I was more angry or heartbroken. I kept asking myself, what's next? Do I try to save what's left of this marriage? Do I call her out on everything and demand she come clean? Or do I just walk away and pretend I never knew her? Honestly, I'm leaning toward the last one, but part of me still hopes there's some way to fix this. That's the worst part, still wanting to believe she might change, that maybe, just maybe, there's some part of her that isn't completely lost. Right now, I'm just trying to breathe and gather my strength. I know I need to make a decision soon, but honestly, I'm so overwhelmed I can barely think straight. All I keep coming back to is the fact that I loved her and she lied to me. She cheated on me with Tyler, and I don't think I'll ever look at her the same way again. It's a hard, bitter lesson, and I do know how to move past it. All I do know is that I've got a lot to figure out, what I want, what I deserve, and whether this marriage is even worth fighting for anymore. It's been a week since I found out, and honestly, I feel like I've been hit by a truck. Every day is a new wave of anger, sadness, and a kind of numbness that I can't seem to shake. I've been going through her phone, her emails, her social media, anything that might give me some clarity. The more I dig, the more I realize how deep this thing runs. She's been lying, hiding, sneaking around for months, and I was so blind to it, thinking we were solid, thinking I was enough. One night I decided I couldn't keep pretending I was okay. I sat her down again, knowing I had to get everything out in the open. I was tired of the lies, tired of feeling like a fool. I told her I knew about Tyler, about everything, and I wanted the truth, no more bullshit. Her response was classic Jessica. She rolled her eyes, scoffed, and said, "You're overreacting. It's just sex. It doesn't mean anything. You're making a big deal out of nothing." She tried to act like she was dismissing it, brushing me off like I was some drama queen, but I could see her eyes flicker. She was trying to hide her guilt, trying to keep her story straight. I didn't buy it. I told her I didn't care if she thought I was overreacting. I told her I deserved honesty, and if she wasn't willing to give me that, then there was no point in pretending anymore. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "You've betrayed everything. Our vows, our trust, everything we had, and I won't stand for it anymore." She just shrugged, leaning back and acting like I was wasting my breath. That's when I finally hit my breaking point. I realized I was done playing her game. I told her I was leaving for a while, that I needed space to think. I packed a bag and stayed at a friend's house that night. The house felt colder than ever, like the walls were closing in on me. Everywhere I looked, I saw reminders of what we'd lost. Photos, little mementos, things I'd kept too. Remind myself of the good times. Everything now just felt hollow. Over the next couple of days, I kept replaying everything. Her lies, that stupid smirk she always wore when she thought she was getting away with something. I felt this gnawing ache inside, a mix of betrayal and heartbreak. How could she do this? How could she sit there and lie so convincingly? I started questioning everything, my judgment, my love, my sanity. I wondered if I'd ever be able to trust anyone again. Meanwhile, I kept analyzing her behavior. She acted like nothing was wrong when she came over to pick up some of her stuff. She had that bitchy attitude, acting like I was in the wrong. She kept saying, "You're overthinking it," or "You're making a mountain out of a molehill." But I knew better. I knew she was lying, hiding things, and I wasn't going to be her fool anymore. I needed to see her for what she really was. One day I found myself at a crossroads. Do I try to save this? Do I confront her again and demand she come clean? Or do I just walk away and forget her? Honestly, I don't have an answer. Every part of me wants to just cut ties, burn everything to the ground, and move on. But a small, stubborn voice inside still hopes she might be sorry, that she might realize how much she's destroyed and want to fix it. That hope feels fragile now, like glass ready to shatter with the slightest touch. I realize I need to think about what I want for myself. I've spent so much time trying to fix her, trying to protect what we had, but maybe it's time I focus on me. What do I deserve? Do I want to be with someone who lies, cheats, and dismisses my feelings? Or is it better to let her go, accept that this betrayal has changed everything? It's not easy, and honestly, I feel lost in a fog of rage and sorrow. The thing that keeps hitting me hardest is how much I loved her, how much I still want to love her despite everything. That's what makes this so complicated. I can't just turn off my feelings overnight. Part of me is hoping she'll come clean, admit everything, and maybe, just maybe, there's a chance for redemption. But another part knows that love doesn't fix betrayal, and trust once broken is nearly impossible to rebuild. So here I am, stuck in this limbo. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but I do know I have to make some kind of choice soon. Do I fight for what's left, or do I walk away and try to heal from this? Either way, I'm learning that love isn't enough to hold a marriage together if honesty and respect are hollow. It's a brutal lesson, and honestly, I feel like I'm just starting to understand how much I've lost. It's been a couple of weeks since I first found out and started really digging into everything. The emotional roller coaster is relentless, and I keep oscillating between anger, sadness, and this numb, helpless feeling. I've been trying to keep busy, but honestly, every time I sit alone, my mind drifts back to her. Her lies, her sneaking around, that bitchy smirk she always wears when she's hiding something. The worst part is knowing how easily she lied to my face, how she manipulated me into thinking everything was fine. It's a constant punch to the gut. One night, I finally decided I needed to get some clarity, no more hiding from the truth. I reached out to her, told her I wanted to talk seriously, face to face. When she showed up at the house, her usual snark was there, but I could see a flicker of guilt behind her eyes. I looked at her and said, "Jessica, I've seen enough. I know about Tyler, about everything. I want the truth, no more lies, no more bullshit." She rolled her eyes, sneering like she was annoyed I was wasting her time. "Oh, here we go again," she said. "You're so paranoid, it's pathetic. I told you it's just sex, it doesn't mean anything. You're blowing this all out of proportion." Her words made my stomach turn. I realized she was still trying to dismiss it, still refusing to face her own actions. But I wasn't buying her act anymore. I stood my ground and told her that I deserved honesty, that I wasn't going to be played for a fool any longer. She scoffed and said, "Fine, whatever. If you need some drama, go ahead. But I'm not leaving and I'm not changing. Tyler's just a fling, just some fun. You're making it into a big deal because you're insecure. That last part really set me off. I looked her in the eyes, furious now. Insecure? You think I'm insecure? You've been lying to me for months, sneaking around, and you call me insecure. I could feel my voice rising, but I kept my composure. You're the one who's been cheating, not me. You're the one who's been pretending everything's fine. Her reaction was classic Jessica, shrugging like she didn't care, acting like she'd already won. But I saw through it. I realized I wasn't going to get the truth out of her that way. So I told her I needed some time away to think about everything. I told her I didn't want to see her for a while, and I left the house feeling more drained than ever. That night I stayed at a friend's place trying to process all this. I kept asking myself how I let it get so bad. How did I not see the signs? How did I trust her for so long? The betrayal was like a physical wound, deep, raw, and impossible to ignore. I kept replaying the moments I thought were real, trying to find some reason, some justification. But all I could see was her lying, smiling, pretending everything was fine while she was hiding this storm inside. The next morning, I woke up feeling sick, physically and emotionally. I knew I had to decide what to do next. I started thinking about whether this marriage could survive, whether I could ever trust her again. The thought of living the rest of my life with her feeling like a stranger haunted me. But still, part of me refused to give up without trying to understand if there was any chance at redemption. I called her again, this time to set boundaries. I told her I needed her to be honest, completely honest about everything. If she wanted to save this, she had to come clean about how long she'd been cheating, what Tyler meant to her, and whether she still had feelings for him. I told her I wasn't going to keep pretending I didn't know the truth. She hesitated, then finally admitted she'd been going out with Tyler for a few months. She said they'd just been fooling around, that she didn't want to leave me but was bored or whatever. Her words sounded hollow, like she was just trying to save her ass. That's when I realized I had to face reality. If she was willing to admit it now, maybe there was a sliver of hope she might stop. Or maybe she was just trying to manipulate me again. Either way, I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I had to decide whether I could forgive her or if I should walk away for good. Honestly, I'm exhausted. I feel drained, like I've been fighting a battle I can't win. I love her, still do, even after everything. But I also hate her for what she's done. I keep thinking about my own dignity, whether I want to keep sacrificing myself to a woman who lied so effortlessly. The thought of starting over is terrifying, but staying feels even worse. I don't want to keep living in this fog of betrayal, wondering when she'll do it again, or if I'm just fooling myself that things can go back to how they were. Right now, I just want to be alone, figure out what I really want, and decide if this marriage is salvageable. If she's serious about fixing things, she'll have to show me she's willing to be honest and committed. If not, I know I'll have to walk away and start a new chapter, one where I don't have to live in the shadow of her lies. Either way, I'm learning that love isn't enough, trust is everything, and once it's broken, it's almost impossible to put back together. That's the harsh truth I'm stuck with now. The days that followed were the hardest I've ever experienced. Every morning woke up with a gnawing sense of emptiness, a hollow feeling of betrayal that seemed to seep into every inch of my being. I kept replaying her words, her lies, and that sneering look she gave me, as if she didn't care one bit about the damage she'd done. I thought about all the years we spent building something, only to find out it was built on deception. It's a brutal realization that love, no matter how deep, can be shattered by just a single act, by her choosing Tyler over me. I decided I had to face the truth head-on once and for all. That led to a final confrontation, a moment I knew I'd never forget. I sat her down in the living room, the air thick with tension. I looked into her eyes and told her I made a decision, that I'd given her enough chances, enough time to come clean and fix this. But her lies just kept piling up and I couldn't keep living in her shadow anymore. I told her I was done with the lies, the cheating, and the pretending that everything was fine when it was. Her reaction was pretty much what I expected. She rolled her eyes and shot back, "You're overreacting." It's just sex, and honestly, I'm bored with you. Tyler's better in bed, and he actually knows what he's doing. Maybe if you weren't so insecure, you'd see that it's not that deep. That's when I finally saw the full extent of her arrogance, her cruelty. She was so dismissive, so indifferent to my feelings, she thought I'd just accept her little excuses and move on. But I'd reached my limit. I told her I was leaving, that I'd move out and start over. I was tired of feeling like a fool, tired of her constant lies. I told her she could keep whatever she wanted, her side of the story, her pride, her pathetic excuses, but I was done. That I needed to find myself again, away from her manipulations. She sneered and said, "Good luck with your little pity party," and then she left, probably thinking she'd won this fight. But I knew the truth was she'd already lost me long before that moment. That night I slept in my car. I didn't want to go back to that house, to her, to the life I'd been living in denial about. I felt betrayed, angry, and profoundly sad. The love I once had for her was now just a distant memory, replaced by bitterness and a sense of failure. I wondered if I'd ever trust anyone again, or if I'd just walk through life alone, carrying this weight forever. But as hard as it was, a part of me also felt relief. This toxic chapter was finally over. I realized I deserved better, someone who wouldn't lie, cheat, or treat me like I was disposable. I understood that sometimes love isn't enough. Trust and honesty are what hold a relationship together, and once those are gone, nothing remains. I learned that the hard way. In the end, I decided to focus on myself. I started therapy, worked on rebuilding my confidence, and slowly I began to heal. It wasn't easy, and I still have moments where I feel the sting of her betrayal, but I also see now that I am stronger than I thought. I learned to value myself, my feelings, my boundaries, my dignity. And I know deep down that I will love again someday, not because I want to forget, but because I refuse to let one person's betrayal define me. Looking back, I realized that this experience, as painful as it was, taught me an invaluable lesson. Never settle for less than you deserve. Don't ignore the signs, and never allow someone to manipulate or lie to you just because you love them. Because in the end, your happiness and self-respect are what truly matter. And if someone can't respect that, then they don't deserve a place in your life. I'll carry these scars with me, but I also carry a newfound strength. And that's honestly the best thing I could ask for after everything.